Hello, Study Mums, and welcome to another episode of the Study Mums Pathways to Success podcast, the podcast that helps mums achieve their study goals faster, easier, and with less stress. I'm your host, Susie Phillips, and you are joining me for episode 10. Now, today I have a very special guest, Shawn Fink. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Susie.
Now, Shawn has a wonderful blog called abundantmama.com, and she also, on that blog, you have the Abundant Mama Project. And today we're going to discuss on trying to discover some ways that we can actually nurture our relationships with our partners, our children, and predominantly with ourselves. Like on this journey that we are having motherhood, it can be quite chaotic, and then you throw work and study into the mix as well. So yes, welcome once again. Thank you for your time today. And can you tell us a little bit about the Abundant Mama Project and how it all started?
Yeah, it started, I think we're in 6 years, getting ready to go into our 6th year. And it started as a blog where I really just wanted to share my thoughts, my feelings about motherhood, but not just, any old day motherhood. I wanted it to be intentional. I love being a mother. Not every day or not every minute of the day, but
right.
I love it. And I think that when I'm totally present and aware of everything that's going on, it feels so much more beautiful, so much more meaningful. And so that's where it started as a blog. And then I created the program, and it became wildly successful, and it's still going. I think we're probably at 1,500 women that have gone through it. And I love it. It's a great experience. It's 4 weeks. And so that's kind of how it all began.
Okay, so with the one thing I noticed when I first went to your blog was that little tagline that said, "Rediscover your happy place." Now, as a mum, that just spoke to me straight away. I was just like, wow, okay, that was quite a powerful little line there. And so your blog in itself, when it started, and the Abundant Mama Project, it's really about helping mums to find the meaning again out of motherhood, isn't it? And to find that happy place again, and through those challenging times. How do you, as a mum, how do you actually fit in that time to actually help all these other mums and doing what you're doing as well? I mean, you sound like that you actually need that for yourself.
Oh yeah, I needed it this morning. First of all, I think finding your happy place is something that you have to do over and over and over again, multiple times in a day, depending on the day, multiple times in your week, multiple times in your month or the season that you're in. It's not just hey, I'm going to get there and be there and I'll never have to work on it again. It's a journey. Yeah. And none of us have gotten to the end point, the destination. It's something that we are just always traveling together, trying to do. And I think we fall short when we think that I'm supposed to be there and I'm not. I'm always trying to get there.
Right.
I think I do a really good job, and but there's always some times that I hit that I'm like, okay, we always say amp it up, short for Abundant Mama Project, amp. So that's our little motto, amp it up. And that's how you get to your happy place. As far as me, how do I get it? How do I do it? First of all, I'm an early riser. So I fit in a lot of, half of what people do in a day is probably what I've done in a morning. That's how I get my self-care time in. That's how I get my creative work time in. That's when I do all my brainstorming, my journaling. That is my happy place.
Wow, and how early are we talking here?
It varies. Sometimes 4 in the morning,
right.
Sometimes a lot of times 5:30. That's my ideal. Lately it's been 6. My kids sleep in later, so that works for me now. It never would have before because they've always been early risers themselves. But 5, I'd like to try and be up by 5 for sure. 5:30 at the latest. I have insomnia too, so that throws it off.
I think a lot of mums have that in general when they forget what they haven't done during the day, and especially when you have these extra tasks as well. last night. So, and it's late here now, so I'm still going.
So you're really tired.
I'll probably keep going for a while longer. So with one thing that stuck out too is with nurturing the relationship between your partner and your children and how important that is. I know when I first started out being a study mum, I got frustrated really easily. And, you know, it was really hard to take that time for yourself to start with. And then when you did, you would have things like mummy guilt, or, you know, you would have that also like, oh, I'm entitled to this moment. And then you didn't get it. And you sort of, that frustration and the overwhelmingness would build. Yeah, what's your advice for sort of dealing with that kind of thing, especially for new mums who are just coming into studying? It takes a while to find your groove with it.
Yeah, I call what you're talking about the land of bitter and sour.
Yes.
And I write about that a lot. And I mean, I could probably write about that solely on its own, and people would be completely resonating with it. So how do you deal with it? In my program, the Abundant Mama Project, we start out with a big, huge week on gratitude and abundance.
Right.
Because if you constantly look at the lack or the scarcity of what you're getting in your life, you are going to be bitter and sour. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be resentful. So we start from that place of understanding that, you know, my life is not perfect, but I have a really good setup, you know, and when you can finally start to find the beauty, the nuggets of the really good stuff, the moments of joy, and put your mind toward that, you end up getting more of that. And the more of that you do, the more you get, and that's where the abundance part starts to flow. And it happened the first week usually is all people really end up needing to get over that hump.
Right.
But it's not just, you know, one of the things that people fail at, I think, is they do it for a couple of days and then they stop. It really needs to become a habit. Otherwise, you're going to sink right back into the land of bitter and sour and be right back where you were, and it's a vicious cycle.
I love that terminology. Even just having that terminology in the back of your mind when you're going through it would pull you out of it, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know about where you live, but here I have a little acronym that I say, the land of BS. So, right? So, I usually do that after they've gone through the program, and I'm still trying to talk to them about it. You know, that is what it is, and you'll repeat into it over and over if you don't really kind of knock it out early.
So what do you think that happens? Do you think it's a high expectation thing, like we want everything structured and we just want to get it right the first time, and then you're having these interruptions? It's like, oh my gosh, why doesn't my kid let me just have 5 minutes to myself? I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to get a qualification. Is it because of that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I think it's all rooted in fear. It's fear that I'm going to fail, fear that I'm not going to get things done, fear that I'm not going to meet the deadlines. Right. We talk in my program about just that, what you do feel those fears around. And being on time is one of those, you know, everybody like, oh my God, I have to be on time, right? That creates such a fear. And so that perfectionism of trying to be all things to all people, it really does weigh on you. And when you finally have something you really want to put your energy into and you can't, that's extremely frustrating.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm just thinking, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. And I think it's really important for women to understand that's normal. Yeah. Like, it's normal. And you're not living a normal life. You're living a motherhood life. And those pulls, those distractions, that's your role right now. And unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. Or fortunately, I mean, depending on how you look at it. So, you know, we could talk for a whole other podcast about how to get things done while being a mom. I mean, there's a whole system that you can create too. I get up early to get a lot of things done, being super organized. And, you know, when you finally do have a chance to sit and do whatever it is you want to do, you know, being completely ready to do it.
Yeah,
not having to get ready. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, especially for mums who are just coming into it, and it's like any habit, I think, you know, if it's a new habit, it takes a while for things to find your place there, and also to know what your limitations are as well, I think. Because I had a very, very, hard time with just trying to figure out when I can do things and when I can't do things. And then sometimes when it's okay just to give up that day and just go, I'm just going to be with my son, or I'm just going to spend time with my family, because you feel like you've been absent for so long. So
I actually have I was going to say, I have a blog post or two that I've talked about the seasons of motherhood, because I think it's really important that we understand that there's going to be seasons where we'll have more time, and there's going to be seasons when we have less time. And anything can and our kids' seasons can impact our own. So, we have these seasons where we're like, oh, I feel really productive and I'm able to get things done. And then you might hit a season where you're not. And that's all very normal. And it's interesting to watch your own seasons so that you can track it. And that way, when you're in that kind of lack of, productivity, you can say, okay, this is just my low season. It's not forever.
Yeah. I think for me that was basically, it was definitely a stage where I started to reclaim a little bit of time for myself. So when you start to do that, because my son turned 4, it was kind of like that age, like you're saying, like a season, like that was the next stage then to start getting a little bit of time back to do things that I wanted to do. And that's when study came into it as well. But I can just imagine for mums who have children who are under the age of 5, or have 3 or 4 of them, and you still have to juggle all of that. And some of these mums are really incredible. They study full time, they work full time, and they have like 3 or 4 children under the age of 5. And I do not know how they do it, but this is why I wanted to share, especially your blog and the Abundant Mama Project, because it is a place where I go sometimes and I'll just read one of your articles and I'll just be like, oh, that's right.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
It's your deep breath, I think, on the internet. That's my goal, is that it's
a beautiful place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that with the study mums especially. So
thank you.
What can they expect if a mum's going to do your Abundant Mama Project course? What can they expect from that?
Oh gosh. Well, currently it's on hold. There is a self-study right now, which is great for introverts, because my classes are huge. I mean, I only run it, in the past, I've only run it 3 times in the year. This year I only ran it twice, and next year it's only going to run once.
Right.
And so what they get out of it is that they're not alone. When they sign in to the class, it never fails. First of all, we start off with telling our stories, and it's my favorite part. Here, reading these women's stories from all over the world who are talking about where they are in their life, in their motherhood journey, and their, what they're trying to accomplish but not able to, where they're feeling stuck, and then you read those and you're going, sometimes you're like, yeah, I've got it. Wow, I'm so blessed. I have so much going for me compared to these other people. Or in some cases, you're like, I'm not alone. Like, thank goodness I'm not going crazy. I think that's the biggest thing that people get out of it, is understanding that you're not alone. That those feelings of frustrations and anger, and in some cases rage, are all very normal part of raising kids and having a family, and all these responsibilities that weigh on us. And then you add on the guilt, the shame, the lack of being able to take care of yourself. So what you get out of it, you get to create routines for yourself. You start to, like you said, reclaim that time for yourself. I call it, you have to elbow. You have to elbow your way to getting that time. Otherwise, life is just going to keep all those urgencies. They always pile up.
Sure.
Every day there's an urgency that I'm like, really? Do I really want to have to call for the ice maker to be fixed today? That's not how I want to spend my time. But it is, those kinds of things will pop up. And unless you are making the time, you'll never get the time.
Right. And I noticed also that you have a course, or your focus lately has been on rekindling marriages within, having that busy life and whilst raising children. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this is my latest fun thing. So one of the things that was happening in the Abundant Mama Project, the women would go through the 4-week program. They would feel so great and wonderful and ready to take on the world. But then their partner was kind of stagnant.
Right.
And so for the last couple of years, I've been working with my small private group on these issues. And what we found is that modeling the kinds of behaviors that you want in your relationship actually is the easiest and best way to see change and transformation. And so the women who are continuing to practice their Abundant Mama skills and all the tools that we do in the program are actually seeing really great benefits in their marriages. Okay. So it took me a while to gather what I really wanted to convey, because I'm not a marriage expert. I'm not a psychotherapist. I don't play one. But I know a lot about how the human relationships work. And so we now have what's called Rekindle, which is a 6-week program to help that relationship. I'm calling it self-care for your marriage. After years of neglect, and I'm completely at fault for that as well, putting everything into my kids, everything into the house, everything into the family, and then everything into my business. My husband and I, we have a great relationship, by the way, but it could have been a lot better. And so it's really taking really great systems and routines and rituals and applying them slowly and gently into your marriage so that you can start to now elbow some time for each other. Right. Which is really hard.
Yes.
Really harder than finding time for yourself.
We do talk about it a lot to do that, but it never actually eventuates. I think you have the best of intentions to go ahead and do things like that, but then life just takes over and it always seems to get on the back burner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on that note, because I have, with the study mums, some of the complaints a lot of the mums have is that their partner is supportive when they first embark on this journey of studying and juggling the family and everything. So nothing has lessened on that side of things, really. They still have to do the house. They still have to get the kids to school. They're still the one that, is cooking and, not always, every relationship is different, but there are times when the partner is supportive initially, but then that kind of wanes a little bit when the reality of that mom's not available all the time. Do you have any particular advice that you can give moms, like of how to tackle a situation like that so that there's no sort of animosity or issues forming within that because of your studying? I think it puts a lot of moms off.
Yeah. Well, having a business is the same thing. As a business owner, I'm home. So the default to everything lays on me. So when the kids are sick, I am the one who has to take off of work. Sure. And when the kids have summer break, I am the one who drops everything for the summer. Holidays, same thing. And there's been times when I have felt resentment. But what I realized is that this is the life that I created. And this is the life that I want. Ultimately, I want to be here for my kids. Ultimately, I want to have this business. And so it's up to me to figure out how to make this work and not rely on my partner to save the day. While I would love for him to do that, it's not going to happen. Yes. Just logistically, it's not easy for him because he does work and he has a boss that he needs to, he would love to be here to be more supportive.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, that coming to terms with your own abilities. You're strong, you can handle it, and it's not ideal by any means, but you're very capable. And I think understanding that mindset is really important. Once I adopted that, like, hey, I'm Superwoman, right? I can do anything. And that kind of released needing to be saved. And I think that's a really important message. My best friend was doing college, studying, working, taking care of kids. And, that was a conversation that we had to have, that you're doing it because you are capable.
Right.
And it's amazing what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
That said, I think the other part of it is having really good communication with your partner. That's something that we're going to spend a lot of time on in the Rekindle program, because, it's one thing to just have I need you to do this in passing. And it's quite another to sit down and have a meeting, some sort of chat where you're planning out your week. here's where I need your help. And being able to express your needs and your desires so that you're being proactive rather than reactive.
Right.
Because I tell a story in my Kindle about how I used to, when I needed something from my husband, I would just lash out, like, I need you to do this. And his brain is not capable of handling that kind of attack. Like, I'm totally fine if you do that. But he's not, and it would shut him down. And so over time, I learned that I really needed to be really proactive, not just somewhat proactive, really proactive. I needed to, have a list. Here's what I'm going to need from you this week, or how can you help me with these things this week? Right. And now he's not always able to do those things. And then you have that's a whole other podcast too, right? But it really does help to be proactive and communicating those things. And by the way, not just once, repeatedly, over and over.
Yes. Yeah. No, I got that from that straight away. Because in a way, it's kind of like goal setting, isn't it? It's like you're setting goals, but you're doing it together as a family. And I guess you can incorporate your children if they're of an age where you can explain this to them. And
absolutely,
it definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you read the book Savoring Slow. I talk about family meetings. They are, especially as your kids get older. I mean, 4 is a little young, but it's not too early to start. It's just he's not going to be able to completely participate yet. But establishing that routine when they're 4 is really important. So every Sunday you might sit down and have your table talk, and maybe you just say what you're thankful for that day, and that's it. But establishing that communication as a family is so crucial.
Yeah, I'm a little bit fortunate in that way. He's 4 going on about 8, I think.
18, right?
Yeah, just about. He's already telling me all things that I don't know. So, yeah.
Well, of course.
Just kids. Oh my goodness. Now, basically, we're just about up with our time here. Is there anything else where can mums find the Abundant Mama project, and how can they sign up for that?
Yeah, the project is, if you go to abundantmama.com, right at the top, there's a little link that says e-course. So they can click on that. They can find out about it there. And if they're interested in Rekindle, we actually don't have that on our main page, which we probably should, but it's abundantmama.com/Rekindle. But I don't know if you have show notes where you can put notes in.
Yes,
and
most definitely. I'll put those links in there.
And
I was just going to say you have an ebook as well.
Yeah, the ebook, or it's actually in paperback as well, so you can order it that way. That's called the Abundant Mama Project, the Abundant Mama's Guide to Savoring Slow. Yeah. And I was going to say the online program is currently self-study, but it will be a live class in January. So we'll have the whole big group then, which will be nice and fun.
There's a bit of an option. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Shawn. I really appreciate it. And I hope study mums definitely go and check out the abundantmama.com.au blog. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was quite an honor.